Hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk about, will altcoin season continue or is it going to end? Will Bitcoin start to rise? I'm going to dig in a little bit more and dig in on why this might be Bitcoin's prime moment, and also how the ebb and flow of altcoin seasons have happened previously. This comes from 8 years of crypto experience. I've been in the space that long. I'm an old dinosaur. So let's go ahead and hop in. Before we begin, I want to give a shout out to Ledn. Ledn is a great place to lend and borrow against your Bitcoin. Check out their link below. It's a site I personally use and would highly recommend. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. Cool. So altcoin season is here, you guys. I mean, I'm sure you've heard about Dogecoin and all the other alts. A lot of them have been going into like a frenzy right now. This is a common part of the crypto market over the last 13 years. I've been in the market for 8, but this is very, very typical. During a Bitcoin bull run, new market participants look to other coins that have higher price potential. Then they buy in expectation that others will do the same. And so below, I'm going to dive into how narratives and prices are intertwined, the cycle of the altcoin cycles and how that interacts with Bitcoin, and how alts prime the pump for Bitcoin. So price is the narrative. As the price goes up, people become more aware of it and then buy in anticipation of it going higher. Then people craft narratives as to why the coin is worth that price. I would take careful attention and go note this. When no one was talking about the asset before the price went up, but then when the price goes up, all of a sudden there's all sorts of narratives that support it. There's partnerships coming. There's user adoption in certain countries. There's utility being unlocked. But where was that before? And why was the price so critical to that happening? In the price of Bitcoin, one of my other newsletter articles, so this is all part of the Held Report. I published the Held Report on Thursdays. So subscribe there to get it first. Link will be in below. I describe the price of Bitcoin in terms of diving in deep over how the price of Bitcoin functions, what that means for narratives. And so if you want to dig in deeper, definitely go check that out. So I pulled this from that article. Bitcoin has a marketing viral loop baked into it. It's a mechanism that drives continuous referrals for growth. It's how you drive your existing customers to refer others to your brand and in turn get those new customers to tell even more people about you. This is exactly how it was a team I worked on at Uber. We configured the give-get program. That is, you give someone $10 of free Uber rides and then you get $10 of free Uber rides. That's called a referral program or a marketing viral loop. Bitcoin has this baked in. Most of us heard about Bitcoin in 2013, 2017 when friends and family were talking about it. It's through this viral loop that Bitcoin gains in adoption. The price is the signal to folks that Bitcoin is interesting, solves a problem for them, that others are recognizing it as a new money. If Bitcoin's price had stayed at $100, $1,000, none of us would be here. So essentially, Satoshi built a viral loop into Bitcoin, and Satoshi wrote this, by the way, before Bitcoin is even worth a penny. So this is freaking wild. So Satoshi says, as the number of users grows, the value per coin increases. It has the potential for a positive feedback loop. As users increase, the value goes up, which could attract more users to take advantage of the increasing value. This was incredibly wild to see Satoshi come up with this before Bitcoin was worth anything. And in the chart below, so we hypothesize that this is due to Bitcoin halvings. The halvings are 4-year cycles, approximately 4-year cycles, where the supply of Bitcoin per block drops in half. Hence why we call it a halving. In the chart below, we see halvings being these dotted lines, and the black line being the Bitcoin's price, and the orange line being the inflation rate. So we can see these halving events occur very, very drastically. These are 30-day moving averages. Otherwise, it would be a straight vertical line. But we can see the corresponding booms. So price drops, the supply issuance drops, price goes up. Supply issuance drops, price goes up. And so what's interesting about Bitcoin is that this is the primary mechanism for user adoption, and this is necessary for a sound money. Altcoins, though, however, like the price is somewhat disconnected from the utility, whereas being a sound money, the utility is the price. Altcoin narratives have ebbed and flowed over time, and each crypto project races to develop narratives that will create excitement and induce demand and maintain faith. Read, price increase. That's essentially what they're looking for. A lot of them don't really have any traction or protocol market fit or product market fit. So what is hot during one cycle is usually dependent on the corresponding price increase. And I cover this in the Rise and Fall of Crypto Narratives, another article that I wrote in the Held Report, where I go deep into the ebb and flow of narratives, including coins called like Putin coin and Whopper coin and Pot coin. Most people don't remember that one. And so I dig into that quite a bit. In the YouTube video below, I actually plotted the price increases of the top 10 alts from 2014 through 2019. This is done in the TradingView replay function, so anyone else can do this as well. As you can see, what was popular back in the day may not happen in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead a little bit, but you can see the ebb and flow of different crypto asset prices here. Like, for example, the green line is XRP, white line is BTC, and these are both in USD terms as a percentage increase. So we see these cycles ebb and flow. Here's the beginning of the 2016 era, and then we'll go ahead and zoom ahead till 2017. This is where Bitcoin rises, as we saw late 2020, early 2021. Again, this is back in 2017, but now we see the alts come up. So this is exactly what's happening now in 2021. We're seeing the alts start to rise as Bitcoin rises, and then Bitcoin takes that energy and it keeps surging forward. These alts sort of prime the pump, if you will. And so we can see the ebb and flow of these price cycles. And then, of course, on the opposite side of the bull run, we see the decline of all the asset prices, and we see the alts typically sell off at a faster rate. So really fascinating way to visualize the ebb and flow of alts over time. I want to break right now and recommend my second recommended product, which is CryptoTag. CryptoTag is the best way to store your Bitcoin. It's titanium. It's a solid titanium plate. This is what you etch your Bitcoin backup on. And so what's cool about this is this can survive it can survive earthquakes, all sorts of different natural disasters, including some house fires. So this is one of the best ways to store your backup. Storing your Bitcoin on a hardware wallet is just one part of the equation. The other part is storing your backup somewhere safe and secure, and that's where CryptoTag comes in. All right, hopping back into the article. So what we saw is that these ebb and flow of prices are also the ebb and flow of narratives. The narrative ebb and flow as to why this asset went up, why it's important. What's interesting too is that we see the ebb and flow of narratives on an individual coin basis. So with Ethereum, and with this chart that was written, so this was made in 2018. It's called the Visions of Ether, and they went through the ebb and flow of Ethereum narratives. What's interesting in this one is that, and this is a rough approximation, right? This isn't an exact science. What's interesting about this is that DeFi is not even on here. DeFi is a new narrative since 2018. Same with Ethereum being a gold 2.0 or sound money. That's not even a narrative until very recently. Bitcoin as well is not immune to the ebb and flow of narratives. And many of you heard about Bitcoin as a cheap PayPal being a popular narrative back in the day versus store of value. And Nick Carter did a really great job of this, visualizing it in the Visions of Bitcoin, where Hasu Fly and Nick Carter wrote about the ebb and flow of Bitcoin narratives. But what's interesting about Bitcoin versus other crypto assets of internal ebb and flow of narratives is that the Bitcoin has had a persistence of narrative, Gold 2.0, throughout the entire time of its existence. Yes, there might have been more popular narratives at some point, but Bitcoin's narrative of Gold 2.0 was there from the beginning. There's a persistence of narrative versus every other one that did not have any persistent narratives. Those narratives have changed all the time. And these narratives are important because that is what brings in folks and makes them interested. All right, so we've covered how the price is intertwined with the success of a coin and how narratives play a part in that. Let's talk about let's talk about the season of alts. How do alts ebb and flow? So if you pick the right alts, you will outperform Bitcoin. I'm not going to ignore this fact. However, it's really difficult to do in practice. As Dan Darkpill, a Twitter account, highlighted, in the top 10% of assets, so these are the top 10 assets 7 years ago. There's Bitcoin, Litecoin, XRP. I guess there's Dogecoin again, but Dogecoin has faded in and out of existence over time. But there's Purecoin and Next and Omni and Namecoin, and almost no one has heard of those. It's important to note that in these cycles, these top 10 coins don't necessarily stick around or stay there. In the time I've been in crypto for 8 years, I've seen almost 10,000 alts come and go. And there's some websites that have a good recording of this. Some of these just have partial entries. So 2,000 dead coins here on Coinopsy. Now, most coins never actually die. It's really hard for a coin to die. I mean, that means that no one's trading it. No one's running nodes. So that's actually really difficult to do. If we go on CoinMarketCap, there's 4,992 coins. As of when I pulled this, there's actually more today. This was just yesterday. And if we look at this, if we go to the last part, there's no volume for any of these coins. And these are huge amounts of coins that have basically no volume. And they're not necessarily dead, they're just sort of a zombie state. And there's tons of those coins as well. So yeah, you might pick the right coin, but there's tons of coins that don't do well. You've only heard about the ones that do well. And if we look at returns since exchange listing, Bitcoin is the top performer. It's much easier for a smaller market cap coin to gain market share versus price increase versus a larger market cap coin like Bitcoin. And then also alts can ride the wave of infrastructure and awareness driven by Bitcoin. Now this chart's a little bit outdated, but DataLight put this together. A lot of people like to compare the performance of an altcoin versus Bitcoin from the when the altcoin was listed versus Bitcoin's current price at that time. I think that's an unfair comparison because it's, again, as I highlighted up here, much easier to go from a small market cap to a larger one. The appropriate way to look at it is since exchange listing. That's the best way to look at performance over time. And Bitcoin is arguably the best performing currency out there per unit of risk. It has great upside with minimal risk of failure or having something superseded. With alt, you might beat Bitcoin's performance temporarily, but it comes with a ton more risk. And the final part here, altcoins prime the Bitcoin pump. Over the last few market cycles in 2013, 2017, we've seen this huge surge of interest in alts preceded by another intense leg up for Bitcoin. The alts act as a reserve of liquidity that can flow back into Bitcoin anytime. Bitcoin buyers can buy both alts and fiat, or Bitcoin buyers can buy with alts and fiat, which leads to more intense run-ups. Tur de Meester, a really great economist in this space, eloquently illustrated this in his 2013, where he calls altcoins a pressure valve. I would have linked to this originally, but he actually has protected tweets. So yeah, this was, he published this again in 2016, and we're seeing it happen now. This isn't anything new. The rise and fall of alts happen with the Bitcoin bull run. And so what we're seeing with Dogecoin and other crypto assets, these are all the same sort of things. We are seeing the same sort of situation occur, that alts go up, and then eventually that all those alt gains flow back into Bitcoin as soon as Bitcoin starts to pump. And that's what I think is going to happen over the next couple months here. It's what's happened before. It makes a ton of sense. But yeah, I hope you found it interesting in terms of the history of the altcoin cycles, the psychology of how the price increase is woven into narratives and how people start to believe in it more as the price goes up. Hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed this, do me a favor. It really helped me out. Give me a like. Give me a subscribe. Appreciate you watching. Thank you. Bye.